right, all right. Oh, camera's off. And we are live.
All right, all
Thank you guys
right.
so much for joining me. Thank you
Oh,
for tuning in to Tetron Live. Of course,
camera's
just here to
off.
share my thoughts and opinions, right?
And
Been an eventful past couple of weeks. As you
we
can
are
see, I'm not in my
live.
normal
Right,
spot.
thank you guys so much for
It's been
joining me.
eventful for me
Thank
online.
you for tuning in to
It's
Tetron
been
Live.
eventful.
Of
Ooh, we're
course.
echoing. It's been eventful for me outside of online. So it's been a lot going on, right? But like anybody else, everyone has a lot going on, right? So I don't like to say like, "Oh, I'm so busy." Like everybody's busy, right? Like that's just the facts. But let me hit the chat real quick. September says, "Happy Wednesday. Surprised you're streaming. Thought you'd be off a few weeks. Nice to see you. Dumb money for the third time yesterday. I like it the more I watch it." Yeah, September. Like I don't know if you saw my movie review, and thank you for being here. I enjoyed it. I thought it had a humorous perspective, right? And it was good for people that aren't as familiar with finance and just closely following a lot of different things that are going on within the markets as a whole, and just various different things. So with that being said, I think it kind of shined light on a certain thing and what happened back in January 2021 from a humorous perspective and a simple perspective, right? That maybe just the average person wanted to be a little entertained, but also a little curious as to what actually took place. And let's see, less than 60 days to earnings. Profitability is coming. Profitability is coming. It will come. Jackson's, I think you're absolutely right. I think 2023 as a whole will be a profitable year. Obviously, we'll have to see. Numbers speak much louder than words. And stock price is just kind of floating around in no man's land after this little drop off. I think right a little over a month ago at this point, right when Ryan Cohen was named CEO officially. I have to look back. The days are just like blending together at this point. It's crazy how that happens sometimes. So I'm just getting the chat on the side. So let's see. Whoa, three times. I guess I have to go watch it now. I'm John Lacey. Thanks for popping in. Yeah, I definitely think you should. Honestly, it's worth it, and in my opinion, at least to see it. You can definitely disagree with things. I definitely understand why, excuse me, some people don't like certain aspects of the movie and certain things maybe that are going on online. Like for example, the official Dumb Money Twitter account posted something about crypto token ready, which is like a very obvious pump and dump type of scam. So I don't know how that got posted. That's a little weird, right? But regardless, I think it's worth seeing. Fitzy says, "Let's fucking go GME." Fitzy, thanks for being here. Hope you're doing well. Connor Nee, what do you think of GME buying out Funko? Connor, it's a valid question, right? As time goes on and GameStop has the cash on the balance sheet, it becomes a matter of like, what are they actually going to do with it? I would say it's possible, but I don't know. I don't think it's definitely going to happen. Like, I don't think it's necessarily something at the forefront of what they're trying to do. However, if they had a great deal in front of them where they were able to acquire it for an excellent price, I think it could be something they do. But, GameStop doesn't even have that much of their own branded merchandise. Like, I would like to see a lot more, just GameStop merch in general, which I think I would like to think is coming soon. But with that being the case, I'm not too hopeful about that. I wouldn't rule it out entirely, but it seems like they're really just focusing on, building the core brand, high margin items. And when I say building the core brand, GameStop Player, we're going to see what comes out of that. If they can vertically integrate it with everything else they're doing. And also, something I feel like we've kind of forget about, or I've at least forgotten about, is the Milan, Italy store. Are we going to see more stores like that in major cities, in other hot tourist spots, right? Things like that. So we'll have to stay tuned and find out. Hey, buddy, Xbit, hope you're doing well. I did a little research on option rolling after you said it last time, so I do appreciate that, and something I got in the repertoire up here now. Or is that the right word for that? I don't know. Whatever. SO Fortune, Smirks, thanks for being here. Hope you're doing well. Huge buyout would be Roblox. I think I know right now Roblox is a lot bigger, but if GME grows, it would be crazy. Yeah, counter. I mean, if GameStop gets to be a large enough market cap, it's possible, right? Anything's possible. But really, they just have to focus. I feel like on what's in front of them. Going brick by brick. Methodically moving forwards because there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, and evidently the stock is going to be volatile. There's going to be a lot of strong opinions, right? Which actually I'm going to get into a couple tweets here. It's a perfect segue. I'll just keep it in the chat real quick. Ryan Sung says, "Look who it is. It's me, buddy. It's me." GME and Microsoft talks. Is that so? Yeah. If that's the case, like, what do you mean they talk? I don't know. Maybe I missed the chat, but yeah, they are in partnership. but could they be doing more? That would be nice to see. Roblox sucks, says XFit. Cheers from Freshmaker. Freshmaker, hope you're doing well, man. Good to see you. Oh, is this Almo and a different account? Or you're just saying hi to Almo, maybe? But I do want to jump into a point here right away. In talking about, where was it? Somebody just said something that made me think. Okay, whatever. Already losing my train of thought. Perfectly back at it here on the stream. But I wanted to go over this tweet, right? So of course, shill shill. And then someone wrote out this whole thing. The good news is you can't buy it even if you wanted to. A person is allowed to like two stocks. You're allowed to your opinion, and nobody's forcing you to follow the PP show or anyone else from the saga. Yet you seemingly every day choose to talk about it, going out of your way to insert your ill-informed opinion or your narrative du jour for the day. What other stocks do you do this with? None. So why this one? And don't say you're trying to help people. There's zero evidence to do anything of that sort. I don't even talk about Bed Bath & Beyond that much, right? I've only brought it up on a couple occasions to the point where it's gotten so ridiculous where I just feel like I want to say something, right? And this, as this person stated, I'm allowed my opinion and nobody's forcing me to follow them. I'm not following them. It keeps popping up on my For You page. I don't want to see the PP clown show on my For You page. Like, it is what it is, right? And PP's going to keep doing whatever he's going to do. And he's having Wes Christian on now and all these different guests. And I'm just going to say my opinion just because they want to go out and say their opinion. They want to post butterfly emojis. And it came to me, right? And this is why I tweeted this. I'm going to read what I tweeted, read what PP tweeted, and I'll share my thought process. A lot of people don't realize that first PP said, a lot of people don't realize the same people in BBY are the same holders of GME. We believe in Ryan Cohen and his vision. Enough of the division amongst our communities. We allow all discussions and opinions, and yes, we value yours too. But if you disagree with the magic butterfly theories, right, it's, shill, right? And so I said, a lot of people don't realize that there are many GME shareholders that have absolutely no interest in Bed Bath & Beyond because of tweets like this. And I realized, I'm like, wait a minute. PP also has GME and BBY in his bio. So I'm like, okay, if, theoretically, right, we're speaking all in theoreticals here. If I'm somebody who watched Dumb Money and I don't know anything about GameStop, I don't really follow stocks, or maybe I follow stocks here and there, right? And I watch Dumb Money and I'm like, I wonder what's going on with GameStop right now. One of the first things I might do is look up a YouTube video. Just look it up on any social platform in general. What's the chatter around it, right? And in doing that, when you have a lot of accounts like the PP Show tweeting stuff like Bed Bath, GME, it's all the same. We're the same, unite. If you're a new investor looking at that, you're probably going to be like, what the fuck? Bed Bath & Beyond is bankrupt. That is ridiculous. What kind of loony bin is that? I don't even want to read about GameStop anymore, right? To me, I see it as the forced association is to trick anybody who might be interested from gaining any kind of engaged interest. They might not even reach the point where they realize that GameStop has a strong balance sheet, that GameStop's been cutting their costs aggressively. All of that actual valid information in relation to GameStop is being drowned out by stand up together. We're the big communities. We got to come together. Oh, yes. And this is why I always say, like, an individual investor, right? Because some people are doing options with GameStop. Some people are just straight up holding shares. Some people are in it for a trade. Some people are in it for the long term, right? Everybody has their own reasons, their own perspectives. And to me, sharing those different reasons, perspectives is what makes a bunch of individuals smarter. But when you say, oh, we have to all come together, enough with the fighting. Bed Bath and GME shareholders are the same, and you have big, suspiciously large accounts with large followings tweeting that very aggressively, putting out videos about it very aggressively. Anybody who might have any interest in GameStop then just has actual valid information drowned out, right? So that's just my perspective on it. And then when I see stuff like this, like, they always go at Superstonk, and I'm like, why Superstonk? Especially like Platinum and and Badass Trader gets so much heat all the time for Superstonk, and I'm like, it's suspiciously odd. It's like, it's funny too, right? Like, we live in a world right now where a lot of situations and I'm not talking like the war stuff going on. That's just terrible. I'm not even following that. I don't even want to get involved in it because it's just it's just unfortunate, right? And that's not what I'm referring to. That's my point. What I am referring to here is we live in a world now where if you are doing something wrong, the easiest thing to do is point your finger, call them a conspiracy theorist, and no, you're the one that's doing that. So while I feel like individual GameStop investors are very much open to debate and, willing to discuss different ideas, it's the PP show and Bed Bath and Beyond that's turning around like, we're open to discussing ideas. You guys are closed-minded, but it's like they won't consider facts such as the fact the stock is delisted. So like it's to me it's a very interesting psyop, right? Or psychop, is that the word? Like PSOY PSYOP. It's very interesting, right? And it's like it's always attacking Badass Trader, Platinum Sparkles, and Superstock, and oh my god, like they banned me. It's like if you're talking about something that's not relative to the sub, then they have the right to do that, right? And they're constantly saying like debate this, and then they present facts. I thought they were required to change. So like let's read through this whole thing. If y'all want to chat about the docs, I'll do it in a space because respect to Platinum. Yeah, I wouldn't go on the PP show. They're saying, oh yeah, it's going to be a fair platform, but do you really think that after the amount of aggression towards individuals like Platinum Sparkles? So from her perspective, I think doing a space makes a lot of sense, right? And that's truly more neutral. So this is their last 8K. The stock is canceled. The company has no obligation to shareholders, but they changed the name because they sold the naming rights for Better Beyond. They reference an orderly wind down and liquidation in all their docs. In Chapter 11, where the debitors have harped on maximum value, why would they leave billions of value on the table in the NOLs and do a Chapter 7 style liquidation? Why have they hired some of the top merger and acquisition specialists to not do a merger and acquisition? They did their best to maximize value for stakeholders, which means they tried to get the creditors paid off. Chapter 7 would have cost more. Debitors are winding down operations, liquidating all the remaining assets, and distributing such assets to their creditors subject to the plan. Recoveries in a Chapter 7 case liquidation would be lower in light of the additional expenses that would be incurred in Chapter 7 proceeding. Although a Chapter 7 liquidation would achieve substantially the same goal, recoveries in a Chapter 7 case liquidation would be lower in the light of the additional expenses that would be incurred in a Chapter 7 proceeding and other costs associated with a Chapter 7 liquidation. Okay, well, they're still going to emerge from Chapter 11. Shares were canceled on September 29th. In order to utilize NOLs, they need to continue the business, and that isn't happening. So let's see. I thought they were required to change the name or do one and the same thing. I don't recall it. I thought it was something essentially meant shut down the business. If they had done that, why bother change the name? They can't legally use the name Bed Bath & Beyond anymore since they sold it to Overstock. Hence, I guess all the butterfly theories, whatever, like the butterfly emojis. Crazy. But let's keep going here because even Pulte hops in on this. So this was, I saw this, I'm like, whoa, this is a big debate. And I honestly, I've been kind of off Twitter like since the past weekend, like since like Friday, I hopped into space briefly, and shout out to you guys if any of you were here that were in the space. You guys are great. I really appreciate all you guys watching this. Like I really can't say that enough. So to move on here, there's no shell. They filed the Form 15. It means there's no longer a public company. The bankruptcy plan references them changing the name in order to effectuate the plan. For the avoidance of doubt, that debitors or wind down debitors, as applicable, are authorized and empowered to take all actions necessary related to any corporate name changes in order to effectuate and implement the plan. The Clerk of the United States Bankruptcy Court for the District of New Jersey is authorized and directed to make any necessary docket entries or other filings with the court related to any corporate name change of the debitors or wind down debitors, including but not limited to docket entries changing the caption of these Chapter 11 cases. As an accountant, I can assure you that there is absolutely is a shell. The company changed its name, but it still exists. Must file a tax return at the end of the year. Still holds all the NOLs and is still a legal entity. That's basically the definition of a shell company. It looks like they don't have to wait until year end, and when they file their quote unquote certificate of dissolution, which pretty much confirms that the business has wound down, that that's when they'll take care of the taxes. And, every single time Platinum's responding, she's literally providing the valid piece of information, the source, right? On and after the effective date, the plan administrator shall have the power and authority to take any action necessary to wind down and dissolve any of the debtors. The plan administrator shall, A, the appropriate time, file a certificate of dissolution for any of the debtors together with all other necessary corporate and company documents to effect the dissolution of any of the debitors under the applicable laws of each applicable debitor's state of formation, complete and file it, blah, 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 blah. The filing by the plan administrator of any debtor certificate of dissolution shall be authorized and approved in all respects without further action under applicable law, regulation, order, or rule, including any action by stockholders, members, board of directors, or board of managers as of each such debtor, solely to extend and subject the limitations provided in the plan and confirmation order. And, I don't mean to say blah, blah, blah. Not that the middle part's important, but I just want to keep going here because this is a long conversation. So you're saying the company's still a shell until something else happens. Got it. Thanks. And you always look at these accounts that reply, and it's like always some like faceless account, and like, oh, I'm an accountant, I'm this, I'm that. It could be, right? It could be. And again, if these theories are all right about this magic butterfly that's coming to be with the super triple mega quadra merger, I'll admit I'm wrong. I have no problem doing that, but I just don't see how that's physically possible. So let's see. Moving on. And then this is where PP Clown Show hops in. Wow, we got way ahead here. Since a shell company would need to register at the SEC and they deregistered with the Form 15, I'd say no, they're not a shell. They will still be a legal entity in accordance with the IRS, just not the SEC. Maybe it's going private, maybe there will be a merger soon, but there's still the shell of a legal entity that holds the NOLs for tax saving benefits. That's irrefutable. PP Show pops in. The company could also just file Chapter 7 instead of Chapter 11 if that were true. It makes no sense she's stating BBY is not a shell. Then what is coming out of a restructured Chapter 11? Then the issue stems that a lot of people think they have figured out when they don't. See, again, just pointing figures. You should provide some facts there. You should provide a source validating what you're saying in some shape or form. And literally, again, she says Chapter 7 would have cost more. That's why they did Chapter 11, which was literally listed right in the documents and in a previous tweet. They've already stated multiple times throughout dockets that they have a clear path out of Chapter 11. So if you think there's no shell, what's coming out of restructured Chapter 11 then? It's not a Chapter 11 restructuring, it's a liquidation. The next milestone will be the plan administrator filing a certificate of dissolution because the company formerly known as Bed Bath & Beyond is getting dissolved. I understand your stance and position with where you think the company is going. What will you think, though, if it doesn't go the way you are thinking? Just curious of your thoughts. It's not like I want these things to be true. I'd much rather believe that some miracle would have happened, but this is the company telling you. Personally, I think this is a complicated deal that a lot of people may not understand on the surface. From the secrecy with the NDAs to the companies filed out of Delaware, either way, the whole thing stinks of something being off from the start. I think it's remarkably transparent, and I've accurately predicted dilution, bankruptcy, no Ryan Cohen, shares going to market, shares getting canceled, aka zero. By collecting money on YouTube, you owe it to your audience to do better, in my opinion. A lot of people probably donated and think they'd have money after this. Platinum's words, not mine. But that's why I didn't like what was going on with Pulte personally. But that's just what I think, right? Whoever can disagree, whoever wants to disagree, so be it. Interesting how Ryan Cohen mainly only interacts with Bill Pulte, and I was invited out there to do my show. Maybe you're going to be incorrect. Do you think Ryan Cohen would entertain this if people were going to $0? Come on now. Did you ask Pulte about BBYQ and his Ryan Cohen's involvement? I've been wondering why he'd invite you there, knowing that the shares were being canceled, so that's a good question. I don't know if they will be canceled or if they are truly canceled. As I've said, I'm not an investor in it, but I like the movement and the PP show. We need to get along, not the opposite. That's just one man's opinion. That's fine, Bill. You can have that opinion, but you have to realize with great power comes great responsibility. If you have a platform where, I think Bill does good things in giving away money. Like, I appreciate that. I don't think he's the worst person in the world, but I just don't understand why you would go on the PP show. And people say, oh, Tetron, you're jealous. It's fine. I don't need Bill Pulte on Tetron Live, right? That's not what I'm trying to say. But it's not about coming together. It's about presenting your ideas and your own perspectives, right? Like, I think when you go to group mentality, that's what a conspiracy circle starts from, right? Where it's like, oh, well, we just all think that. Could it be wrong? How could it be wrong? It's like there has to be conversation. There has to be some kind of disagreement. And it's uncomfortable at times, but it's the reality. And I'm not saying I'm perfect at disagreeing on things, but there's definitely, just interesting things going on. So involvement is basically liking the YouTube channel. Thanks, Poldy, for the response. I don't know if you knew, but people are saying you're involved in the BBYQ bankruptcy somehow. Shares were canceled in Form 15 on September 29th. I like the people on the YouTube channel, and I think they are sick of market manipulation, corruption, which seems to grow by the day, and many other things like care in the GME and AMC communities. Again, group association. I really think it's about, individual opinions, and everybody can have their own perspective. And someone replied on my tweet back here, like, "Oh, you don't think you're allowed to like two stocks? You are, but I'm also allowed to like one, and I'm also allowed to say, hey, if you tweet stuff like this, then there's going to be a lot of people who aren't involved in GameStop that just automatically assume anybody who's invested in GameStop thinks that this super mega butterfly theory is about to come true. Which, again, if it somehow happens, I'll admit I'm wrong. I have no problem. And my overall perspective here is it's just interesting, right? That PP Show has GME and BBY in his bio, and it's just interesting that there's a lot of accounts that are like, I hold both. Like, where have I seen that before? AMC. And it drowns out any potential just pure GameStop information, right? When you look up Pepsi, do you see every single piece written or information put out about Pepsi always include Coke? No. In some instances, yes, when there's a comparison sake. But is there ever the Pepsi and Coke stock communities must come together, right? Like, isn't that weird? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, right? We'll see what happens over time. Just my perspective. But we got to go back in the chat here. Let's see. PS5 Slim is going to put the Q4 numbers through the roof. Very well could, Ryan, and thank you for being here. PS5 is so huge, quarter four going to crush. Could be right, Connor. We'll have to see. On my desktop, nice. Xbit's here. Cohen is very critical in his letter to BBY. He wanted to sell Bye Bye Baby, and they didn't do much. Debt and went under. And he said it's over, so I don't get why it's still a thing. Connor, I personally don't either. I think it's also partly people are frustrated with what's gone on in the capital markets, right? Like, look at the stock today. It's like, how does this stuff happen? TPST just goes kaboom, right? 3,000%. What the heck? And then when you zoom out, though, it's like, oh, this thing has been diluted to oblivion previous to this run up. So, yeah, 1 year, it's way up. Year to date, 6 months, 1 month. Even 5 years, it's been diluted to oblivion relatively, right? Relative to the performance today. So, just interesting things that happen in our market, right? That are honestly not easy to explain. So, I don't disagree that there's corruption and just a lot of bad actors and just people with the wrong intentions. A lot of just like interests that are aligned to make things that shouldn't happen, right? That's just the way it looks. And I'm not denying that, but I'm saying I think that's been weaponized to like people are frustrated with that. And people's like when you tend to think with emotions instead of logic, that's where poor decisions tend to happen, right? Relative to life, very generally speaking. So, I think if you're frustrated and you think like, hey, there's this chance with Bed Bath and Beyond where if it explodes, if this butterfly thing happens, right, it would be the ultimate like kick in, like punch in the gut, like we got you to like all the big money that's been screwing my whole life. Like I feel like that mentality of people has been weaponized. I hope that makes sense, and I feel like that's where you get this going on, like this whole all these theories about this magic butterfly, right? And again, we'll see what happens, but BBQers are linking PP Seeds to GME Facebook account. Lame as hell. Expensive bad. Exactly my point. And thank you for being here. And thank you for saying that because it's like anybody who might just want to research GameStop, they're going to just be forced to see all this crazy stuff about Bed Bath & Beyond and they might just move on. Right? Which is just weird. It's just weird. Why does it have to be that way? Why not just talk about Bed Bath? It's like Ryan Cohen's to save the day. Ryan Cohen, yes. Okay, you can say whatever you want, right? Like PB can say whatever he wants. Anybody who's involved in Bed Bath can share what they want. They can have their opinion, right? It's just like, damn, what is going on here? That's all. That's just my perspective, right? To be honest, it's over. Is it over? I'm tired of waiting, and I'm in a tough place in my life right now. Bless Vitamin. Is what over? Is GameStop over? I don't think so. I think they're continuing to improve. It's maybe not improved as fast as many individuals thought originally, but I think if you're in it for the long term, then That's what it's about, right? Like the long term. And when you have a long term perspective, you never truly know what's going to happen in just a short couple of year time frame, right? So, you have to do what's best for you. But that actually reminds me of a good point I wanted to make on this stream. Take care of your personal finances, right? Pay off any high interest debt. Make sure you have an emergency fund. Right now, you can earn almost 5%, like between 4 and 5% in any online savings account. I think Marcus by Goldman Sachs is a promotion right now where you can earn 5.5% annual interest, but only for a 3 month span. But pretty much as the Fed raises rates, these online bank accounts are actually going to pay you interest for holding cash in there. So, not saying cash is the greatest asset in the world. I'm just saying if you have cash anyway, it shouldn't just be collecting dust. It should be at least accumulating interest in a high interest rate environment. Hence, what I'm always talking about with GameStop's balance sheet, where I do have this visual here, and something I got to do for you guys. I got to start having my streams more in order because I have all these things I want to show and I pull up things beforehand, but then I lose my order, right? So with GameStop having a strong balance sheet, they're earning, cash equivalents consist of U.S. government bonds and notes, money market funds, cash deposits at commercial banks, and highly rated short-term instruments that mature in 90 days or less. Marketable securities are made up of highly rated short-term government bonds and notes, as well as time deposits that mature in less than 1 year. So essentially, they're earning interest on their cash and marketable securities. And you as an individual can be doing that same thing, right? And I personally think you should. Like, for example, if you have a couple thousand saved up for a purchase you're planning to make in a year from now, and you're going to keep adding to that, and then you're going to make the big purchase, whatever that may be, wouldn't you want to at least earn some interest on that in the meantime? And I know maybe a lot of you watching probably familiar with this, but you'd be surprised. As a young individual, I talk to people my age about money, or they know I'm interested in finance and all that stuff and markets. And there's a ton of people that I say you could just open an online savings account and earn like 4+% interest. They're like, that has to be a scam. I'm like, that's crazy. I'm like, no, it's not. It's an FDIC insured bank. And I always tell people too, you should absolutely research. Don't just go do this blindly based on me saying it. But I can tell you, it's an FDIC insured bank, and yes, you can earn interest on your cash because they're like, well, how does the bank make money? What's in it for them? Well, they're turning around and buying marketable securities, right? They're buying U.S. government treasuries that are paying like 5.5%. So they're keeping that difference. And a standard bank like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, they're all just keeping 0.01% interest because they have more operational costs. So with an online based bank, they have less overhead costs. And that's how they're able to just focus on giving you high yield interest, right? But when you talk to, sorry, I was gonna say when I talk to like my parents, for example, or grandparents, like, yeah, it used to be a thing where you can actually earn interest in the bank. But from perspective of a young individual, I've never seen earning interest in a bank account, right? Like, yeah, I used to be able to earn like 1 point something in an Ally account when I first opened one in like 2018 or whatever it may be. But I never saw interest rates like this. Like, and I remember studying in college the risk-free rate, like in the weighted average cost of capital equation, stuff like that. And I was like, risk-free rate, interest rate's always zero in this day and age. Why even count for bonds? Why even think about that? And I'm like, oh, it's not always just a market where interest rates are incredibly low. So I mean, that's just my perspective again, and I'm sharing this because I feel like there's definitely some individuals, younger individuals, that watch this, and just I always want to just keep explaining stuff. So apologize if that's just random and simple. But if you're curious about GameStop's numbers on their balance sheet, I'll be updating this for Q3 when it comes out. And they can't just stack cash forever, but the cash gives them a cushion and the potential to make a move. Like someone brought up previously, Connor, about Funko being bought out. If Funko's valuation continues to fall, GameStop has the cash on the balance sheet for when the price is right, where they could get it for a discount relative to the value in the long term, right? Just for sake of example. And in the meantime, until you have this opportunity that arises, you keep earning interest. Like also your personal life, like you should make like a balance sheet type of thing or organize it in some shape or form. For me, my only debt is a government student loan at a rate of 2.5%. And it's not a lot at all, right? Like I'm very fortunate where I've pretty much taken care of all my school debt. I just have this one tiny loan left. And, I've started a savings account. And what I'm going to do is the amount for the loan, I'm going to put that in a high yield savings, right? So as long as I'm earning more than, so let's say for sake of example, it's just $1,000, right? And I guess I should really be using, I got to use paint for this just to, a little visual, or I'll just keep it open on the side. But if I have $1,000 loan and then I just save up $1,000 in a savings account, right? My loan is a 2.5% interest loan. Then in my savings account, I'm earning 4.5% interest. So I can make the payments as they're due just at minimum payment, and I'm keeping a difference of 2% interest. And also, then I have some cash in case an emergency comes up. Then I'll figure out, and I might need cash like that, right? For whatever it may be, medical emergency, car has a major issue, something like that. And then I can replenish that later and, go back to having the loan amount equivalent in cash on the balance sheet. So GameStop has that scenario where their only debt is actually a couple French government loans associated with pandemic response, and they're at an interest rate of literally 1%. And now at cash equivalents, marketable securities, they're earning 5 plus. And any other company you look at, I would consider good debt to be debt that was taken, right? Like if you look at Pepsi, for example, they have a ton of outstanding bonds issued, right? And any debt that was issued in the whole past decade, pretty much, when you're a company like Pepsi where you have such a good credit rating, they're paying interest on some loans that are like 20, 30-year term loans at 2%, 3%. So they're literally able to earn more on their cash than it's even worth paying off those loans in advance. So, that's just perspective for interest rates, right? And why I think GameStop's strong balance sheet's so important, because if they were in a spot where they'd take on debt right now, they would have to most likely pay double digits for an interest rate, right? I would imagine, if not close to it. And that would be very difficult to, execute a turnaround on. So really paying off all their debt in the beginning, it sounds like, what do they say? Like beating a dead horse, repeating the same thing over and over and over again. But it really is so, so important in their chance to execute and, become more of a technology based company. But damn, let's get back to chat. It's odd bad investment after bad investment is pushed in front of retail. How is that possible? It's not like private equity is pushing out debt-ridden companies to go to the public to pay the debt. Experts, that's your words, not mine, not mine. But yeah, some interesting information you're presenting there, as does Morantz. Had to cut the spaces. Comment was too long. No worry. Plus vitamin BBY. Yeah, it's banned. That's over. Sorry. Yeah, cancel not delisted. BBYQ is cancer. Yeah, no, DB. It's crazy. It's going on this long, right? And it is what it is. Like I'm not really gonna reply to them much. Like if certain things like this tweet with PP, like I want to say this because I think it's just facts that there's just as many. I think there's a lot more GameStop investors that have no interest in Bed Bath and Beyond, right? And yeah, the Bed Bath and Beyond individuals are very loud, but it doesn't mean there's the most, right? And it is what it is. It is what it is at this point, right? That's what I've kind of come to terms with. Let's see. I know we're losing. I want to know when we've lost. GME's fine. If we thought it was over, this stream wouldn't exist, buddy. Exactly, Ryan. Appreciate that. You guys know what I mean. Tetron, what's up? Another thing. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Let's see. We signed up from OS, not a company turnaround. You guys know what I mean. No bless funds. We don't know what you mean. I don't bless. I mean, that's maybe your perspective, but for me, I'm in it for the long term. Wise man once said, "I like the stock." I'm also holding 10, 20 years. Same XBit. Well, I mean, I'll always see, right? Perspective and I have to look at what's in front of me, but I have no problem holding for a very, very long time. Musk was about getting rich in like 2 years, then a decade-long turnaround. Musk got canceled. This is about a fundamental squeeze. XBit's words, not mine. I hope it goes lower, the cheaper it is, the more I buy. Yeah, Connor, that's the beautiful part about truly understanding a company, right? Now, any other stocks I'm beginning to grow interest in, right? Just things I'm looking for personally are cash flow stocks, right? Like I want solid value plays that pay a dividend, and in the event of a market downturn, I want to begin opening positions in that, right? So now I want stocks I have interest in and to go down to make me really, really interested in, right? And that's something I've learned through my personal journey in GameStop. And while GameStop's absolutely undoubtedly my main focus right now, I do have interest in Bitcoin. I have S&P 500 just in retirement accounts accumulating. So, you want to always do what's best for you as an individual. I'm like, oh, Tetron's a shill. No, I'm saying also you want to look at other companies, right? Because you want to have perspective. If you're reading GameStop's financial statements, you want to have perspective of other financial statements as well. And that's also where I feel like people get the idea that, oh, people like GameStop are just in this echo chamber. They just don't actually know anything about economics or finance, but there's a lot of people that have truly, and I'm speaking mostly for myself, but I think there's a lot of other people in the same boat as me where they really became very, very involved in one stock and very, very detailed as to what's going on with it. And it gave them and well, again, mostly speaking for myself, perspective of how to approach the subject of investing and what it truly means to invest rather than trade. Let's see. Please paper hand if you don't want to hold it. Tetron, in lieu of Hollywood's dumb money, you can watch 2-minute DD videos showing Congress didn't know how many brokers were just like Robinhood on January 28, 2021, vetted by 2,500 super stonk users. Okay, another thing, I'll check it out. I got you. West cancel isn't that the FUD? This has always been about MOAS. Fundamentals will push the price. MOAS is just a bonus. GME is a good investment even without MOAS. Personally, I never invested because of MOAS. It's a video game retailer. This was always about MOAS. If I did, I would also buy AMC and BBY, but I didn't. Good point, Connor. MOAS is a bonus. I came for the MOAS, but I'm staying for the fundamentals. Taco Bandit, thank you for being here. And yeah, I also want to quickly touch on that because, part of Dan Orlov or Dan, whatever the heck his name is, I don't even know. Irrelevant. But his whole thing, oh, financial advice and these people, like he always, I love all his replies. They're like, he's like, I'm gonna use big words and sound like smart man. Like, okay, Dan, okay, like it's fine. It is what it is, right? He clipped me out of context. I wrote a thing responding to him, and I thought it was pretty funny that he actually quote retweeted me, and it sounded like I got under his skin. I mean, I was just like, Dan, if you're gonna clip me and you're gonna make a video perspective of other people, you have to be ready. You're in the arena. Like I can respond. Like I have the right to. And like he responded, and that's it, right? That was it. But it was funny. His whole like followers came out like, "Ugh!" Like suddenly everybody on Twitter from his followers were financial experts telling, "Oh, GameStop's a dying company." Right? They were going nuts. And then I replies, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy!" Right? So that was an experience, but it gave me the idea, and I talked about this in my tweet where I should show you guys stuff on the screen. I always start doing this. I just start yapping, and I don't show on the screen. So we'll go to it here. Where are we at? Where are we at? Yeah, see, he also clipped me like a 1-second video, see?
You shouldn't believe me. You shouldn't believe me. You shouldn't
Like,
believe me.
I don't know why this guy wanted to like he's, to me, if you do that, like all he did was give me more engagement. Like you only, if you're bigger than someone like that and you reply, like to me that means you're frustrated. So I think I got under Dan's skin with my tweet. But and again, he said company that's cutting costs to achieve profitability by definition doesn't have a strong balance sheet. That's not true. That doesn't make sense. I said, Dan, by definition, you're correct. Balance sheet represents what the company has in terms of assets and liabilities. Cutting costs to achieve profitability affects the income statement, generating a net profit, which subsequently improved the balance sheet, right? So in many cases, yes, that could be the case, but in a turnaround situation, that's not, right? So that was my response to him there. And then also this video, I had to make it. It's crazy. I mean, like how many views? Like it's actually insane, and I still am getting replies on it.
Here we go again. Not a financial
For those of you
advisor.
that didn't
Not
see it.
financial advice. Not financial advice. Not financial
In case you're
advice,
wondering
not
too.
Financial advice. Not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. This is not financial advice. Not financial advice.
Oh yeah, this is
not
my
here.
favorite part. So we're in here.
I'm not a financial advisor. Stop yourself right there because I'm not a financial advisor. Financial advisor.
Shout out to my brother. He helped me out with that video. He's the man. So I said, what will you do? You didn't forget to mention this, this, and that. But I just want to get to the part about MOAS, and you guys go check out this tweet yourself if you haven't already seen it. I previously used the term MOAS, mother of all short squeezes, a term that could be defined in so many different ways and has been by so many different people. But I have never once said that GameStop is going to $1 gazillion a share. I said I believe it can go up a lot. I stand by that because it's my personal opinion. To what price and over what time frame, I could not tell you. And I'm not scared to say if I can be wrong. I'll own it. But will you admit if you're wrong if GameStop succeeds in their turnaround? We'll see. Right? And I think that's true, right? And that was from the heart and like just keeping it real with you guys. There's no gazillion dollars a share for GameStop. There's no 1 billion, right? It's to me going to go up a lot because of the fundamentals and some allegedly suppressed short interest, right, is just going to make things escalate in potentially a way we've never seen before, right? And obviously how it plays out is to be determined. But to say like Yeah, MOAS, everybody who says who says the term MOAS means the same thing is just ridiculous. Because mother of all short squeezes, MOAS is not a real word in the dictionary, right? It's mother of all short squeezes. It's a term. What you think watching this, what your perspective of what MOAS is different from mine, and it's different from his and hers and theirs, right? Everybody's going to have their own perspective on a newly found term, so to speak. So, yeah, I've said in the past, like, what is the MOAS? And I explained it. And theoretically, right, it all boils down to supply and demand. So if you have an immense amount of demand and there's like little to no supply, that just means very, very large price increases, right? But also part of it is there's just a lot of weird things that happen with the market and how trades execute. And it's all to be determined, right? And what actually happens. That's all what it boils down to. Let's see. I got to scroll down and stay for the most. It's up to you. Are you guys saying? Are you sure? You plus five. Damn, chat is really popping off today. That physical game retailer sold 400 million in physical slash digital games last quarter. That is true. Xbit is right. GME is now a beast with Ryan Cohen at the helm with zero salary. Yeah, expensive bad. I agree with you, and I agree with Xbit. It is truly, us unprecedented, and also he has the potential, to really just change the perspective of corporate America, right? I mean, that's like, got to do a lot, and we have a long way to go. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, but it would be quite the story, right? Type of thing you read in a textbook in several years from now, right? It'll probably like an e-textbook, or kids will be putting on their Ray-Bans, Apple glasses, or what the heck are they? Who came out with them? Google? I don't even know. No, Facebook, I think, who partnered with Ray-Bans, where you like, right? I don't even know, one of the big tech companies, and you're gonna be able to like see things on your screen, FaceTime someone, they're gonna see what you're saying. That's like creepy. We're getting to like a scary point. Like that bugs me out. I don't know about you guys. Ally and Goldman Sachs, Marcus both froze GME. Another thing, yes, you're absolutely right. I'm not saying for the shares, make your own decisions on if you want to directly register your shares. I'm talking about just for, okay, cash savings, but it's also probably when I was rambling on before. So investment in valuable stocks, that makes money. Expensive bad, that's the way. I'm late, but I'm here. Wander and Gale, good to see you. Hope you're doing well, man. Dear SGME, are you the same YouTuber from Moran's Chat? Yep. Oh, nice. I'm no one special. No, yeah. Dear SGME, you're special. I'm special. Everyone's special in their own ways. That sounds so corny. But, that's to me one of the coolest things about all the individuals involved in GameStop. There's so many different perspectives as well. All right, watch the video and live stream Google proof. Congress did not know the U.S. Congress will have hearing how many brokers froze buying on January 28, 2021. We don't realize is that there's another congressional hearing that will magnify glass on GME. It makes sense, another thing. It makes sense. I'll definitely have to check it out. I'm going to take a picture right here so I remember after this. Yo, Tetron, I did it. Really went all in on Bubby. I now have 100. I went all in, baby. I have 100K shares, 15 per share average. Damn, Jay, that is quite a large amount of shares, I'm happy for you if that's the position you want. That's definitely way more shares than I have, but always make the best decisions for yourself, man, and have good faith that you'll do your due diligence and your research, and you absolutely will. And that goes beyond GameStop. Let's see. Ryan Cohen is a millionaire. Why are you guys soy facing at the fact he won't take salary? I think it's very interesting because you see a ton of other people with a large amount of money, and with their large amount of money, they're still taking a salary, right? Adam Aaron's running. I personally believe he's running AMC straight into the ground. He's still taking a salary. He sold shares for retirement, right? Yeah, sure. Maybe he's about to retire, but there could be a multitude of reasons why you sell a stock, but there's only one reason you buy. You believe the share price is going to go up. Augmented reality, yeah, Calvin, that could be. Oh yeah, the glasses, yeah, it's going to be scary. Which there is like a bull case for that in GameStop, or like a bullish perspective on that, but I don't know. It scares me. It just scares me how fast like AI is going, right? Like all of a sudden, it's just a part of everything. And I actually had a coworker, or old coworker rather, texting me today, and we kind of just keep up with the markets. Like I know he just reads about what's going on in the markets, so we just chat sometimes. And he said to me, he's like, AI is making the average Joe more valuable to the average company because they have so much more at their fingertips, and it's also making it more and more where companies are training people at the door. I mean, it's always been that way, but obviously previous knowledge helps. But when you're going to do something a certain type of way, it's almost better to train them from the start, right? Like train people from their first job. And you could train them like, oh, if you're not aware of this, like here are the tools. You can use AI to educate yourself on it. You just need then people that are active, right? But I mean, that's just one small side of AI. AI is a huge debate in itself, and that's just a quick perspective, right? Like I don't have a massive debate on it. But yeah, Facebook Meta brought out the Ray-Ban glasses. Yes, Soy Boy might have been king of all soy. Laughing my ass off. Although he ain't watching the video. Cheers, Jake Irwin. Name another CEO who's taking zero salary. He's rich, you idiot. Why would him not taking a salary ever impress you? Bless, you're definitely like having some fun in the chat, right? I mean, overall, I mean, you should show another CEO to me that doesn't take a salary, right? I think it's very interesting. It's just an interesting thing that's going on. And also, it's not only doesn't take a salary, it's that he was accumulating shares of GameStop in late 2020. And then 2021 very easily could have just been like, nah, I'm done with this. Like, I'm not actually going to do anything with this company. But instead, he held on and then he acquired more shares in March 2022 and June 2023 as well, just of this year, just about 4 months ago. And remarkably, the share price has fallen since. And I think at this point, it's the same song and dance where if you're long, you're going to happily add to your long position. If you're short, you're going to keep riding and or adding to your short position. It's just the same song and dance, and it's really going to boil down to fundamentals. And here, I have this chart of SG&A. You can see it's starting to improve. And throughout 2021 and 2022, there was impairment charges related to immutable X token grants. So as the immutable X, I mean, I would have to pull up the terms. I do forget them off the top of my head with in regards to immutable X, but there was SG&A associated with the token grants in 2021 and 2022. And even then, they were able, like the fact that they were looking for growth perspectives, they got the NFT marketplace out there, although it hasn't, done quite as expected yet, I would say, but also I think it's part of things in the long term. It might tie into player in some way because it's about digital assets. A lot of people say, oh, it's a flop, but Web3 gaming is still developing. But that's the whole conversation itself. But point being, they're able to maintain the SG&A. And as you see now in 2023, it's really starting to look better. And I think it will look this way the rest of 2023. But in these couple of years, it's really about turning things around, putting new things in place, and just change, right? With change, like adjusting things costs money up front. But then, now we're starting to see where they can operate, more slim and just generally have less overhead costs. And this is another chart I'm working on, just to kind of stick with GameStop here. Towards the end of the stream here, what is it, like 8:03? Yeah, we'll go to like another 15, 20 minutes because trying to keep your streams short and sweet, then just more active with the videos and whatnot. But this still has to be finished. So Q3 and Q4, these numbers haven't been adjusted. So that's something I have to add. I made these blue. I guess I didn't save. Because blue is to remind me that this needs to be adjusted. So Q3 and Q4 of 2019 and 2020 have not been added on here. But just to give you an idea of the margins, and also if you guys don't follow me on Twitter, you definitely should, because I do like to tweet out like some written stuff sometimes. Like when these visuals come out, this is like behind the scenes. When the visuals come out, like I'm gonna write information about GameStop's margins previously, where they've been, where they're at, and where I think they're potentially going based on the recent action, right? So keep the lookout for that. And I still have to calculate the year, but you could see, 2019 was the point where, again, don't look at Q3, Q4, so you can't really show as much. But I believe, if I remember correctly, 2019 Q3, Q4, they were just still profitable, right? 2019 is where things really started to go downhill. And as their assets fell in value, right? Like Morantz has explained this a lot, where their assets fell in value, it actually was, being marked off as an expense, right? So it was hurting their bottom line. And then you would go, what the heck happened here in Q2? This is when, oh, this number, yeah, I would have to check this too, because this was the year when the COVID shutdown happened, right? So I'll have to check on that because also, yeah, see, this isn't a complete graphic yet, full disclosure. So I also have to still double check the numbers and get the final year numbers. But where I'm trying to go with this is you could see, net margin in Q4 has to be stronger, right? In these past couple years, there's been a lot of expenses, right? So 2021 was like a weird time. A lot of things were starting to come back, but a lot of things were really expensive just due to production issues, right? And that kind of got solved throughout 2022, I would say, or just more normalized back to normal. That's why we had this low gross margin. But overall, we want to see strength for net margins in Q4, especially for GameStop, considering that's the holiday quarter. But I do expect 2024 every single quarter to be profitable, or that would be the most ideal, right? Of course, there's a lot of time between now and then, so my perspective could change. The reality of it happening could absolutely change, but it seems to be that's the way it's shaping up. And it seems like Q3, if it's not profitable, it'll be around the same type of quarter we just had in Q2. And Q4, I think will be significantly profitable, or at least I would like to think so. Q4 is their strongest quarter, and if they still have the mentality in Q4 of just cutting off the excess, right, and just really focusing on core operations, and some people say, "Oh, it's bearish that they've gotten rid of some of the executives and just parted ways." Whatever's happening, it's clearly bad, right? And I say, if you could have the same person doing two jobs and just pay them more and compensate them more for further success, I'd rather have somebody working harder like that. And if Ryan Cohen's involved as CEO, I think of it from his perspective where he is going to absolutely make sure that people working alongside him, he has enough vested interest and he's going to be there himself working, that they're absolutely working their ass off. Otherwise, he's gonna be like, forget it. This isn't working. Like, we'll let you go. Like, whatever. We want people with the right type of work ethic, right? Like, that kind of goes back to what I was saying before a little bit, where it's easier to train somebody than shift how they think in terms of like how they work in a certain environment, right? Or a certain industry. So, company culture is like so important, just the mentality there. And it starts with leadership. Starts from the top down. So if the person at the very top of things with the most control, the most influence, the most, just operationally involved, especially now as CEO, how they act, how they work, what they say, what they do, like means so much to the company. And I think about that from my own work experience, right? And I think if you think about it in your own experience, right? If you feel like your job, the company doesn't operate well, then you're probably like, this sucks. Not just this sucks, but like you just dread certain things and there's other people around you that are like, this sucks. And you're just always like bickering about it, right? Whereas if you're in a positive environment, there's like you could see like there's a certain type of person that's hired. And when I say certain type of person for like good company with good company culture, right? You want to hire somebody that fits the company culture, but I'm not saying when I say one type of person, it's just like one size fits all type of thing, or if you don't fit in these like brackets, then it's not going to work. It's people with like the right mentality or perspectives that line up with the company. And I don't mean like religion and like politics, stuff like that, nothing intense like that, but I mean how you act like when you're at work like really means so much. And when you hire from that standpoint, you can have the quieter person. You can have the person that's a little more talkative. You can have the person that's a little bit more detailed. You can have the person that's like, we got to get this done, like more to the point, like speed type of person, right? There's different types of personalities, but they're all lined up in the company culture. And I think that is a big part of what Ryan Cohen can make happen for GameStop, especially now as CEO. I feel like that was already the case as chairman, but when the chairman's like, if you think about it like this, right? Like anybody who's been managing there or just in communication with management at all from the upper part of GameStop's management team, right? Like talking like maybe regional managers, head of e-commerce, stuff like that, right? Like I don't know exactly how it's aligned in certain spots, but if you're in meetings and you know this, you obviously have heard about Ryan Cohen. Like if you're, I'm speaking from their shoes, right? You've heard about Ryan Cohen, and you're like, okay, this guy's obviously making the influence, and maybe you've met him, like you've seen him here and there because he's chairman, right? But he's definitely involved. You know, he's calling the shots. And now you hear he's the CEO. He's going to be working with you in the office, like he's rolling up his sleeves, and he's there too. You're like, okay, well, and you hear this guy isn't getting paid. Like he writes a letter to everyone, right? And I'm not sure if that was ever fully confirmed. I think your mentality is like, okay, like, and you see him working hard. You're like, okay, my boss is up in here like working his ass off, and he owns the thing. Like it just, you're either gonna be like, yeah, no, I can't do this, and he's gonna quickly figure it out, and you're gonna quickly figure it out that it's not gonna work anymore. Or you're gonna be like, okay, I gotta step up my game, but like, if I'm behind this guy, this could succeed, right? And that's just a part of it. There's a lot of other factors that are going to take place, and I kind of went off on a total tangent there. But point of all that is company culture, I think really, really matters and just makes a difference for the company. Let's see. That could happen. Games are pretty much recession proof. Yeah, Calvin, gamers always game. That's definitely true. Historically speaking, companies like Tesla, Amazon, Bitcoin, etc., also took at least 6 years to go up, or MOAS, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, if you want to call it a short squeeze, I think that'll be like a Tesla like squeeze. We're going to stay broke. Plus vitamin. I don't know, man. We'll have to see. Tesla peak was like 7,000 without the stock splits. I already know. Come on, Bless. You're taking shilling somewhere else. It's probably PP laughing my ass off. I keep working to make more money and buy more GME daily. GME is my daily dose of vitamin. DB, I like it. You got a little GME in your veins, you know? And if I'm not selling for another 20 years, the price can go up and down day by day. It doesn't really matter. I let the company do the talking. Ryan Dong and King of All Soil are the biggest NPCs in this chat. Plus vitamin, you're definitely just trolling, but I appreciate the engagement, the chats, and you spending your time here with us tonight. Much appreciated. But yeah, it definitely comes down to execution. That's ultimately really what we're gonna see. Like, are they gonna execute? Like, it'd be nice to see margins keep improving, right? But it's like, are they truly gonna improve? We'll see in the Q3 report, Q4. And I have the margins pulled up here. This is a great site in general for research, macrotrends.net. It's honestly worth using if you just want a quick perspective of a company and historically. So you see GameStop margins improving, and then pretty much from 2016, I would say, to like 2020 or slash 2019 was when the downfall started to happen, and margins continue to tail off, and they've kind of become more steady, and operating is almost back to net profitable, and net is almost back to net profitable. But this is just for like an overall perspective, and when you just look at a company and their long-term performance, this is the type of thing you look at. But yeah, so let's see. Is there anything else I wanted to show you guys I didn't get to yet? See, GameStop, SG&A, which also is my pinned tweet. I'll show that to you guys real quick. I wrote some more information, and these are the write-ups I'm continuing to do. Oh, and this actually reminded me of my next point I wanted to make, where dividends is personally something I want for GameStop in the long term. I think it's going to take them some time to begin issuing dividends, but when you truly think about holding a stock, you want cash flow, right? So I think it would make a lot of sense for them to issue dividends in the future, where that's a situation where individuals want to hold it for the long term type of thing. Because yeah, if you hold it forever and it goes up in value, right, you have an asset appreciating, and that's great. But for me, I definitely want cash flow in the future, but I want to be the company to very much evaluate and make sure it's the right moment in time where they can begin issuing a dividend, right? Like Barantz, I watched one of his videos today. He brought up a good point with Kohl's, where he's like, yeah, they're still issuing a dividend and they have all these assets, but like you said, you're saying, like, they don't have very much cash. Like, they're paying out more of a dividend than cash they're accumulating by quarter. And that's kind of, running the company into the ground. People might be saying, like, oh, yeah, like Kohl's is a great play with the high dividend right now, right? And if they're paying out their payout ratio, right? Like, that's where you can see, like, what they're paying out relative to their net. Let's see. Does it here? Yeah. Oh, doesn't have it. But payout ratio is basically just what their net income is and like how much of it is being paid out in the form of a dividend. But let's see. Let's be honest, you're sure not. Yeah, nah, we'll just let Bless do his thing in the chat. Oh man. But join the waitlist, upcoming you're definitely just trolling. But no, I appreciate all you guys for real. Really appreciate all of you guys that come watch Tetron. Much, much appreciated. Because, it's always fun to stream, just share my perspectives, right? And also, I'm just learning a lot from this journey. That's also why I'm doing these live streams and these videos, so I can look back and be like, wow, that's what I was thinking at that time. And I already look back at some of my content and I'm like, wow, I feel so much more educated on this said topic now than when I was speaking about it originally. I definitely want to talk about it more like this, knowing that I was speaking about it like this before. So, that also just speaks to, improving yourself. Like, I think that's a great part of things, in a weird way with GameStop, where like a lot of people, you know, maybe got caught up in some hype and I don't know, it just kind of created, I feel like, a lot of individuals that like interact on Twitter and stuff like that that are like, you should improve yourself. But of course, for every one good person, there's one like aggressive person, right? But I don't know. I feel like for me, it's also like one thing GameStop's taught me that from my point of view of investing in it or being involved in it in any way and speaking on it, is you really, really want to understand something, right? Before you're putting your money consistently into it. So, research and just always being open to the idea like, okay, maybe I don't understand this the right way, or having the thought that like you need to improve. Like if you have that like in your mind, like it sounds so stupid, right? Like just saying like, oh, just gotta keep trying, just keep trying. But that's the craziest part. Like we all think, right? Like, oh yeah, it sounds so easy. Like I know that. But like if you have to keep that like the forefront of your mind, like no, I'm gonna keep doing this until I figure it out. Like when you keep that mindset, like you really grow as a person. And I feel like that's what I'm personally going through. Now I'm getting to like philosophical Tetron. I'll have to be like the next page. But yeah, this was an interesting thread. I don't know if any of you guys were here before when I was going over it. So much going on. But also a quick reminder, GameStop wallet is going to be deactivated in November. So in case you're wondering why or haven't heard about it, their perspective is it's going to have potentially regulatory issues. Just seeing a lot of what's happened with the SEC and action they're taking, and just general government legislation not looking that good around all stuff related to just crypto and blockchain. I would say. I mean, I'm saying that very loosely, but from GameStop's perspective, right? If there's any chance it could create a lawsuit or an issue, they can still do what they're trying to do without the wallet, right? So there's plenty of other wallets out there. So if they have any chance where that would be an issue, I think that's why they want to wind it down, and they believe that because if you're in a legal battle, even if you win it, it's extremely expensive, right? And they're obviously keeping a very close eye on their balance sheet and trying to trim things down. So that's like the last thing you would want. So I feel like that's why that happened. And in case you're unaware, right, you just have to go into the GameStop wallet. I'm not going to do it right now, but you have to go into the settings and go to like recovery phrase, and then you would go to like MetaMask and do import, and you would put that, and then you have to enter your 12 word, I believe, yeah, 12 word phrase. But honestly, the best way to hold cryptocurrency, because I personally believe in Bitcoin, is you have a cold wallet, right? So if you're interested in cryptocurrency, use a cold wallet, right? Like buy it on an exchange. Like I use Strike. It uses the Bitcoin Lightning Network. I buy it for free, and then I move it from there into my cold storage wallet, which was created offline. So basically, you're generating a wallet offline, so it's the most secure. And theoretically, if you memorize your 12-word password and your password to the wallet, you could import it anywhere at any time if you somehow lost the device. But the whole point of the device is that it's never been connected to the internet. So if you just generate a wallet through MetaMask, right, it's connected to the internet. Someone could theoretically get the information because it was generated onto the computer. Like the whatever the 12 word phrase is. So when you do it on the cold wallet, it's generating it completely offline. I mean, that's side topic, but for me personally, I'm just interested in Bitcoin, a little bit of Ethereum, and that's it, right? I'm not interested in crypto beyond that. I like the big names, and to me, it's an alternative asset, and it's the type of thing. Same deal with GameStop. I'm going to hold it for a very long time. It's going to work out very well, or it won't work out at all. And I put just fraction of money into it, and that's just my perspective. I see it as a supply and demand situation with Bitcoin, but again, most speak on GameStop because I'm most familiar with GameStop. But I do definitely want to start wrapping it up here. Definitely gonna start to prepare the next couple streams with Q3, like analysis and just like preparing what could Q3 look like, because we do have to account for one-time profit on sales from European properties, as well as was it, yeah, land and property and equipment, or just that general category, right? As part of some of the wind down costs, and even GameStop keeping the revenue steady right now, like while you obviously want to see growth in that, I'm okay with it if margins are growing, right? I think margins are the most important right now. Ideally, if you can grow gross margin, but ultimately the net margin needs to be positive for just them to succeed in the long term. So, yeah, we'll start to get into all that and look at the next couple streams, but appreciate all of you guys being here. Much, much appreciated. Let's see. A lot going on in the chat. Anything interesting before I go? Let's see. Plus one's right. Oh, fucked. Just a marathon. We talked about that. But yeah, okay. Appreciate all of you guys. Hope everyone out there has a great night. Thank you so much.